YouTube, what the crap's going on? It has been a long time, but I am back with Trolley Bully's Use It, Lose It tournament round 3 match. I think he's probably getting close to the end, so hopefully he'll send me the final round. But this is match he wanted me to see. It was Lewin versus Blackbeard, I believe. I don't remember who's who, but we've got Nervii over here, which very spread out formation. And then we have the Arverni in a lot tighter formation. Looks like I'm gonna see 3 heavy horse, 3 Oathsworn, and they're gonna have a line of Chosens. Looks like 4 of those. 4 Levy Freeman. Gotta have the Levy Freeman. And then several Celtic Slingers. And for the Nervii, spread out all over the battlefield. Looks like we have 4 Levy Freemen as well. 2 Spear Brothers. Looks like I see an Oathsworn on each flank. The General is also an Oathsworn. Fierce Swords in the middle. These guys have fantastic charge, but are kind of shaky otherwise. Another Spear Brother. Looks like 4 units of Mighty Horse kind of spread across the back. So the Nervii do not have any skirmish contingent. And Fierce Swords are pretty vulnerable to skirmishers. Oathsworn is evenly balanced. Though in the mid-tier sword department, I would definitely give the Arverni the advantage here, unless the Fierce Swords get a really good charge, which is possible. There is 1 naked warrior as well, but I mean, I would tend to hand the advantage here to the Arverni, based on just the fact that Chosen Swords are a little more reliable. But, you know, you never know. Here comes a heavy horse. Looks like it's wanting to push up on this Levy Freeman. Now, this very spread out formation would leave a unit like this somewhat exposed. There's no javelins coming in from second line units, but obviously the Nervii wants to get in position with a giant flanking contingent, and is basically using the Levy Freeman to kind of absorb some of the initial volleys and skirmish fights that are going to be taking place here. So just kind of see what happens. Heavy horse pushing up here. I'm not really sure why. They didn't really eat that javelin volley, though, so that was very brilliant for them. They're going to get a lot of kills. More heavy horse pushing up, and because the javelin volleys didn't come out well here, the Levy Freemen are going to get absolutely wrecked. And this is going to take away a pretty important screen from the Nervii, and it's quite possible the Nervii are going to suffer pretty badly because of this. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the Levy Freemen knocked off the battlefield at this point, which could potentially leave the Fierce Swords open to being charged, which would take away most chances for the Nervii to figure this out. Mighty Horse are not going to win one-on-one versus Heavy Horse. Here a Mighty Horse gets into a very odd engagement, surrounds this Heavy Horse, but it's going to get hit by skirmish fire. More reinforcements coming. If the Spear Brothers can get out here, though, that'd be great support because they have cavalry counter tactics. Javelin volley connects pretty well with that Heavy Horse. And we got the Nervii flanking contingent set up over here. We'll see. Like I said, I think the sturdiness is going to go to the Arverni here. It's going to force the Heavy Horse away, so this is actually quite good, but there's an Oathsworn moving in, so the Spear Brothers are going to have to retreat. Nervii probably needs to just pull back. This Oathsworn needs to get in here and tie these guys down. But he continues to chase the Horseman. He is doing a lot of damage. It could open up this Oathsworn for a rear charge, which would be great. This Oathsworn gets hung up. So not good at the moment, and there's even more Heavy Horse pouring in. The Spear Brothers are going to get wrecked by Oathsworn. Comes more Spear Brothers. Probably want to keep those guys away from this fight, but I think the Chosen Swordsman all the way out here. There's a Mighty Horse waiting up front. Let's just get, this is a pretty hectic engagement. Comes a Mighty Horse, but there's a Heavy Horse back here to protect all these Celtic Slingers, so it's not going to get much done back here. And there's Oathsworn support, so Nervii players gonna pay for that pretty quickly. Spear Brothers get torn up out here without getting rid of the cavalry, so this is looking kind of bad for Nervii, in my opinion. I don't see how they're going to be able to pull this off, based on the fact that there's still 4 Heavy Horse on the field, and maybe only a couple of Mighty Horse. Fierce Swords got held up for quite a long time. There are 2 Oathsworn over here to the 1, and if this one gets pinned down, it could hurt, but there's still a lot of Heavy Horse and skirmishers to support. Fierce Sword's starting to get through the first line of meat shields and towards the second. Looks like the Mighty Horse going to be used to disrupt the Oathsworn here and hopefully give the Fierce Swords a good charge, so it's not a bad plan. Oathsworn dogpiling in here, Naked Warriors being used for the charge bonus. Looks like these Oathsworn are just trying to disengage and head over towards this fight to try and counteract what just happened because of the Heavy Horse, the Oathsworn's going to want to pursue, but there's still Chosen Swords here. Just kind of see what happens here. The balance of power is slightly against the Nervii at the moment, and I would believe that. However, the Oathsworn over here are getting wrapped up pretty hard. Spear Brothers just got those Heavy Horse. There's still Mighty Horse alive. The Skirmisher's still very much alive for the Arverni, but the Arverni's starting to lose a pretty fair number of units here. Naked Warrior's still around. If these guys can be used as shock infantry with and stay away from these Heavy Horse, same thing with the Fierce Swords. They need to be shock infantry. These two Oathsworn over here are a problem, though, and this Oathsworn is hung up. Could potentially get rear charged here by one of the Oathsworn that are now free. General wrapping up this Oathsworn. Some Heavy Horse getting chewed up. Still a very healthy Oathsworn here. The Nervii really need to hang on to some Heavy Horse late to try and pressure these Celtic Slingers. The Naked Swords and the Fierce Swords are going to get absolutely trampled by the heavy cavalry here. So these two units are as good as dead. That's going to be a very bad scenario for the Nervii. Chosen Swordsman here take a rear charge, but the rear fire here from the Slingers is real. Definitely good to get some spear pressure over here onto these Slingers. Probably ought to send one this way and try and... He's got to keep some pressure on those Skirmishers or else this Oathsworn's going to get wrecked. So this is good. Definitely needs this pressure. This Oathsworn's going to get a nice charge on this one that's already busy. But there's other units freeing up now. A Fierce Sword charge into the back of this Oathsworn could be very nice. And then use the Levy Freeman to try and keep the cavalry busy. See, Levy Freeman are busy. The Skirmishers have been pushed back quite a ways. They're not out of the fight. These Heavy Horse, though, are going to make their presence felt. This Oathsworn needs to hold out long enough to receive reinforcements. These guys are going to pull out and countercharge. That's a smart move rather than taking a rear charge. It's going to be quite close. This Spear Brother unit could be handy in the late game. Mighty Horse getting to a few of the Slingers. It's not going to do much, but again, at least it's keeping them from being able to fire into this fight, which at the moment is a big deal. Might not hurt to just go ahead and shut down. Yeah, that Spear unit looks like it's going to get pushed back. Another Fierce Sword left over here. Decent amount of heavy cavalry left. This Mighty Horse was saved and managed to kill quite a few Slingers, so this is a huge play for the Nervii there if they want to stay in this game. And now over here, the Arverni General is getting dogpiled by two Oathsworn, so this is going to end very poorly for the Arverni General, and quite rapidly if he can't get support. And at the moment, all his support is tied up back here, so the Nervii making a nice play here. What started off looking a little bit shaky for him, keeping all these support units pushed this far away from the critical engagement is going to probably lend to a Nervii victory here, if I had to take my guess. Yeah, it most certainly is, because now their morale is going to collapse with the loss of the general. So it's possible these Slingers have enough ammo left to turn the fight. I doubt it. And they are going to wreck this Fierce Sword, there's no question about that. But since this fight's wrapped up and there's 3 Oathsworn here, I'm guessing that they just don't have the strength to tank this one out with skirmish fire. They probably won't have enough skirmishers. 1 Heavy Horse left. The Spaghetti Line Spear just gets hammered, but then the cavalry counter tactics is going to drive these guys off. Oathsworn now in the pursuit. Fierce Sword is going to try and finish off the Levy free. The battle is definitely stacked in favor of the Nervii, but it's still giving the Arverni a chance at this point. That was a nice cavalry charge right there. Took 2 units off the battlefield. Question is how much ammo is left on the Celtic Slingers, and they will do very little damage frontally to Oathsworn. But if they have enough ammo and they can do this long enough and combine it with a couple of hit and run charges, maybe, but I mean, you can see the morale on the Heavy Horse is already very low. If there are any javelins left on the Oathsworn, it's probably going to be game over. The Oathsworn, though, are going to be tired. They're not going to be able to catch the Slingers. And they're not going to be able to catch the cavalry, that's for sure. And the Spaghetti Lines, to avoid the Slinger fire, is going to make them vulnerable to the heavy cavalry charges. I would think Oathsworn would be pretty resistant to a Heavy Horse charge, though. Unless it was significantly deteriorated. Just because of their defense and health stats. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it didn't do that much. A shock cavalry might be different. So the Heavy Horse is going to get driven out there. So now it's just the 2 Slingers. There's only 23 seconds left, so I have to assume that Nervii is going to take this one home. Slingers, I mean, they can run, but looks like they're going to admit defeat there. So the Arverni player was defeated. Nervii wins, which was definitely a slight underdog match. Well, I would say the Nervii are an underdog to the Arverni. I don't know if really competitive players would agree, but the main reason I say that is because mid-tier swords play such a huge role in Rome 2, and the mid-tier swords for the Arverni are just a little more stable. Their attack stats aren't quite as good as a fierce sword, but they've got better defense and armor and a shield wall, that other kind of stuff. So that's why I would have lent the advantage to the Arverni. But again, nicely played by the Nervii. Oathsworn all getting good kills. The fierce swords got a decent performance considering how much heavy cavalry was on the field. And then some of the spear brothers, this one right here, trucked out quite a few kills. Definitely not a bad performance. In terms of the Arverni side, obviously a couple of the Oathsworn, all of his Oathsworn did okay-ish. Not quite, well, I mean, they're pretty close to on par with what the enemy Oathsworn did. Decent kills from the Slingers, but I mean, if we just take a look at the other ones, I mean, the Chosen Swords look like they got outperformed by the Fierce Swords and the Naked Swords, so that might have been a big player. But of course, these kills could be lying a little bit if these guys racked up a whole bunch of spear kills, and maybe these guys were fighting against Oathsworn, so kind of hard to say there, but definitely well played by the Nervii in order to pull that off. Appreciate Trolley Bully sending in the replay. Hope you all enjoyed it. Got some Rum 2 back to you. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Appreciate all those of you who subscribe, who view, who comment, like. All that stuff helps me a lot. Those who support me on Patreon, I have that there, so all of that is greatly appreciated. Appreciate MSI for sponsoring the build. Love making these videos for you, and I'll see you all back soon.